Okay, we're going to get started here. Uh, Hello, everybody. This is now broadcasting live on Facebook. If you're on Zoom with us, uh, you can ask questions and stuff. We have plenty to talk about today. My name is Ben Wright. I play banjo in a bluegrass band called the Henhouse Prowlers, and we have a nonprofit organization called Bluegrass Ambassadors. And today, what we're doing today is kind of exactly the kind of stuff we want to be doing. I happen to go to the University of Chicago Folk Festival last year in the fall and was completely blown away by this group of musicians here in front of me. There was, if you didn't know, the University of Chicago Folk Festival, it's been around since the 1960s, and it's really a true folk festival. And they bring not just what we think of in America as folk music, they bring folk music in from all over the world. And I went to see one of my favorite bluegrass bands, and right before Danny Paisley and the Southern Grass came on, I saw this group of incredibly talented women walked on the stage and just kind of brought the house down playing mariachi music. And I found out they were from Chicago. As we started doing this during COVID, I immediately thought I needed to get these guys on, and they have been gracious enough to get together on a Thursday night, despite the fact that they're all very busy. So I want to introduce everybody to the Mariachi Sirenas. You can find them on Facebook. It's Mariachi Sirenas, and on Instagram as well. They're easy to find. If you Google them on all this stuff, I can't tell you enough to go follow their stuff. I actually have their logo downloaded and I want to share. I love your guys' logo. Before we get started, and one last note, we are paying the artists that we have on the Bluegrass Ambassadors Academy. If you want to help us out, you can go to our PayPal, paypal.me/bluegrassambassadors. Anyways, will you guys start us off with a song before we start talking about your incredible music?
We'd love to. Thank you so much. And we're all reading each other's minds. We know what time it is. Sí, señor. Valedores
amor mío. Ay, mi vida, tuyo es mi corazón.
That was amazing.
And ironically, that song is actually like very anti-feminist at the end, but we do what we can with the music that we're provided with.
Yeah, right. We also deal with issues with that. Like I've been playing songs for years that I actually took the time to pay attention to what the lyrics are about, and I was like, we should not be doing those songs. So before we talk about the band, can you tell me about that song?
Sure. That song is called El Herradero, which is basically like the herraduras and stuff like that. So it, like, I guess you could say they're like rodeos, coleaderas and stuff. So it's the herradero is the person that brings in the bull, the horse, and like ties them up. Am I correct on that one? Something like that. Singing this song for years, and it wasn't until actually we started Mariachisirenas, which were all women, that I'm like, whoa, that last verse is kind of like the last verse basically saying women aren't anything without their man. So I mean, but it's a festive song, you know, it's uppity. I'm just kidding. But it's funny that, you know, I didn't really make that connection until I was surrounded by all women, and I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I've been singing that for years without even realizing it. So so that's basically, I mean, and that's not the whole basis of the song, but the song is more of like the tradition of what is that rodeo lifestyle and the festivities of it all and the fun of it all and the music and the mariachi that are, you know, in the escoliaderas, which is like rodeos, if you will. Yeah, so it's basically about that and that tradition, but then that last verse just kind of like gives us a little nudge, like, hey, remember what it was.
Right. So I actually really do want to talk more about that, but if I think it'd be good to have a little bit of background for people who've never really heard mariachi or learned too much about it. Can you give me your introduction about mariachi music?
I'm gonna let someone else take the mic.
Okay. Yeah, and please, if someone else takes the mic, please introduce yourself.
Okay. So we'll just start. Not yet. We're warming everybody up. So, hi, my name is Ibet Herrera. I am a violinist and vocalist here at Mariachi Sirenas. So mariachi dates back way back then in like the 1800s. And it's actually kind of like we were discussing pre-show that it kind of started like how bluegrass was more for like the small town and that, like, you know, soulful, dirty, and like fun and no music, no rules. It started with like the Huasteco, which was like southern Mexico, and like Yucatan and all that fun stuff, which Veracruz and all that nice fun stuff with that very African feel to it. And then as I guess time evolved, mariachi then became a little bit more formal. And then that was like closer to like the 1900s when it was more formal. It was for people who had money to pay for these events. And it's rumored there's like that mariachi is, you know, the meaning is marriage. And then there's another one that mariachi means to party. So whatever interpretation we want to go with that day is what we go with. Just kidding. If the hardcore mariachi people from like Mexico were to hear us right now, they'd be like, but we're having fun with it. But yeah, so it started with that, you know, it was a formal thing, and that's why the suits That's what usually when people think of mariachi, they think of like that suit in the white with the like gold buttons or silver buttons with the sombrero, and that was some high fancy money type situation. And actually, we are all strings, as you can see, but the traditional mariachi started with all strings. But then later, the trumpet got introduced, and in Mexico, and that was in the DF. In Mexico City.
They played on a radio live in the.
They played on the radio live
Yeah,
in
that's
Mexico.
how people were kind of like I like it, I don't like it.
Let her get the mic for just 1 second.
No, that's great. This is teamwork.
That's exactly what we do here. Tell each other when the other ones are on. Testing.
Oh, no, you.
Yeah, so
What's your name, baby girl? What's your name?
oh, my name is Jeanette Nevarez. I'm the guitarronista, which is the Mexican bass. Where did we love?
The trumpets are in.
Oh,
Trumpets and the radio.
so I forgot who it was, or even, I don't know if they even said who it was, but some people like the contrast of the violin and the trumpet together. But then they weren't introduced until they went kind of like on a radio show in Mexico City, and that's where like there were like people critiquing, like they like it, but there were like a lot more people that love the sound together, violins and trumpets. So from then on, it kind of like it stayed.
And that's the elegant story behind that.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't trying to come at you at all. It's just how the format just, is let's introduce a trumpet to an all, string ensemble. And, just when anything with tradition and you introduce something new, there's always going to be mayhem.
And the funny thing is that that's what mariachi is known for right now, the trumpet. So since we're all strings and we don't go to gigs with trumpets, they're like, "Where's a trumpet?" I'm like, "We're good."
Ain't that ironic?
I know.
That the trumpet was one of the last instruments to be introduced to the mariachi, ensemble, but that is what people now associate it with. Like they completely forget about us violins. It's like, where's the trumpet? It's like, well, no, stop, please.
No, but the trumpet does something.
But I know.
Yeah, and normally violins are the loudest instrument around, but then the trumpet had to come and ruin it. Like,
No. And this is actually the first mariachi group that I play in that doesn't have a trumpet, because it's not like now mariachi groups would 100% rather not have a violin than not have a trumpet. Like that's how serious it is right now. So this is the first ensemble that I think all of us, right, have not played with a trumpet. So the violins really get to shine, and we can't blend in behind a trumpet sound anymore. So we practice, right, ladies? We can't hide.
I hope so.
We hope so. But yeah, so that's pretty much like a little bit of the how mariachi kind of became a thing more in Mexico. That's kind of like the cliff notes about it. But in the United States, it then later came who was it? Was it Vargas that made its way over here? I think it was Mariachi Vargas who was like the first international huge like top hitting mariachi worldwide. And they kind of set the standards here. But then the western part of the United States, California, Arizona, Texas, and all those fun states really dug into it. And that is to this day where the biggest mariachi community is. And that's actually where the first women mariachi base in the United States actually formed. That was like in the 1980s.
was that a salacious thing? Was that like, were people against women playing mariachi when they started?
Yes. So women in mariachi were more in like in Mexico, more in like the mid 1900s ish, and it was pretty frowned upon because I don't know what you know of our lovely Mexican community back in the day, but it was a very machista, very machismo type of vibe where women were just supposed to look pretty, do the dishes and make some dinner, you know, have some babies and call it a day. So it was very, there was actually stories of when the first all women mariachi started of like the husbands would actually like break the instruments, their wives' instruments, because they weren't supposed to be out there. And then, oh, and I forgot to mention, after mariachi kind of became a formal thing, later it took a dive, and that's when mariachi started going into like the bars, and it started becoming more cantina music. So then it just kind of, it lost its elegance, if you will, for a bit. So, and then coincidentally, that's when women decided to get involved. So then it just became a, oh, well, you're not, if you're out there playing in these bars or whatever, playing this music, it's because
you're not being a decent woman. You're not being a decent woman there.
ouch.
Ouch.
So it was one of those. So then when it came into the United States, it was a little bit more accepted just because it was later in life, but it was still very, very much critiqued. And to this day, we get some nice fun stuff there, but you know, gotta, you know, bow down to our pioneers that made it possible for us.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said, and I've heard we talk about that in my band too, about obviously we're not all female, but about relating to the forefathers of our music, and they laid the groundwork and played for almost no money and did it because they felt they were lucky to be playing music, and I really associate with what you just said about giving respect to the fathers of the genre, because we wouldn't be doing what we love if they hadn't put their time in like that. You just gave me a million questions to ask you. Before I ask you more, can you guys play us another song?
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys want to do? We could do Relámpago.
All right, before we play this song, it's called Relámpago, which means, oh my gosh, my Spanish. It means thunder. Yeah, that's what it
So
means.
we're gonna play the instrumental version, but they actually have lightning. I'm sorry,
It's actually
I said thunder.
lightning.
Lightning.
Get your
Whoa,
Spanish right.
whoa.
Wait, what? Tell me again. Tell me what the word is a little slower.
Relámpago. Relámpago.
Okay.
Which is
It's
lightning.
lightning.
Okay.
So we're playing the instrumental version, but it does have lyrics.
But who needs lyrics?
But who needs lyrics?
beautiful. That was amazing. Relampago? Is that? Yeah, relampago. And that's lightning.
Yes. Not
Okay, cool. So like I said, I have a million questions. I guess I'm going to ask you the question that drives me nuts when people ask it to me. Where did the name come from?
We all love the Little Mermaid. No, I'm just kidding. Sirenas actually translates to mermaid. So it was fun trying to come up with a name for this group. Because without wanting to is one of those where it's like, well, we're kind of setting the standard for, women here in Chicago at least. So it's like, did we want to make it too feminine? Did we want to make it, very macho? Did we want to make it very traditional? So at the end of the day, we're like, whatever, it's our group. We want to name it whatever we want to name it. So it kind of started with the idea of water, how flowy and how it could be nice and calm, but then it could be very aggressive and all that fun stuff. So then we're like, well, there's mermaids, and mermaids are cool, and that's the same thing. It's, wow. I know, right? We're so poetic. And so yeah, it started with that, and how sirens, and they sing, and they kill men with their voices, and
but what I like to think,
okay, go ahead.
Since we're mariachi mermaids, sirens, okay, whatever. Anyways, I like to think that we're attracting like the people with our music, but instead of killing
we don't kill them though.
We're just what is it called?
We're complaciendo. We're pleasing people with our music. So that's like the idea of it, and then it's also like a very feminine idea to a very masculine genre. So we can sit here and analyze this name all day long.
Well, it's sometimes a good name is just a good name, and I think you guys nailed it. It like I like it, and I want to share actually. I have a picture of your logo, which I think is absolutely fantastic, and it's just it's brilliant. Now that I'm here, I can't actually close this window. We were doing this. Oh, there we go. We were doing this every week for a while, and I'm rusty on the Zoom stuff. But anyway, I just want to say, like, your branding is really on point, and I think it's really cool. And actually, while I'm sharing stuff, I want to show the traditional clothing you guys wear, and maybe you could tell me a little bit about it.
I give you a shout out for saying clothing and not costume. Tell you why. And it's not anyone's fault. It's one of those things where if you're not used to seeing something like this, then it's a costume. But this is and I won't even say traditional mariachi traje because it's not. We went ahead and had fun with it since our name is Mariachisirenas, which is mermaid. So we made Jeanette over here, the guitarron player. We all had this idea of trying to like somehow make the skirt like more mermaid-esque. So then she put the design together and was able to do that. Design it with that flap. And then if you look in the picture in the inside the colors, it's like mermaid scales inside. So when we're walking or we pose in that formation, you can see like the scales in the colors. It's easier to see on Monique over here, which is purple. So we wanted to make sure that detail was there. So when we're just standing on stage, it looks just like a regular dress, but then once we start walking, it opens up. So that is our take on the traje. But that's the botonaduras, those buttons that I was saying that, that's where it came in like very fancy like. There's other ones where it's just like embroidered. Is that how you say it in English? Embroidered.
You got it.
That's the one. Or like patches being sewed on. So this is the botonadura one. And our traje is actually, instead of a zipper, what do we have?
Corset.
We have a corset. So we can.
Oh, cool.
And not because we're trying to be fancy, but we eat a lot. So Most of our big money goes into food. To make sure that we were comfortable eating while we were in these things, because like once those trajes go on, usually on a Friday, they don't come off until Sunday night. So
The regular ones are tight too. They're very tight. Like you have no room to grow or anything or eat, or it's terrible.
yeah, well, and it kind of goes back to like being a woman in the genre, right? You kind of have to look the role, which is very unfortunate. Like the traditional like skirt is, you know, a little bit, and I won't even say traditional because back then it was a little different, but now as we were getting closer to like the 2000s, the skirt was very tight, and very not comfortable and very hard to eat in. So we're like, out with that, we need room to eat. So we made that little corset on the back. And then it has like a jacket, a little vest, and then the moño, which is the bow that goes here. And then traditionally women wear their hair up in a ponytail with ribbons on the back, but we're like, well, we sometimes do that. See, like that. That time we decided to go traditional-ish. I know, right? And then sometimes we just put our hair down and just throw some flowers on there and just keep it, call it a day. Sometimes we just don't feel like doing our hair.
Yeah, I'm actually glad you guys didn't wear your clothing or your outfits or whatever, you know, tonight, because I want this to be more of a casual conversation. And I know how we wear suits when we play. When I'm in my suit, it's really hard to just talk casually with people. I must be performing. I must be, you know. So I'm glad I'm able to show people what you look like. I mean, because I saw it in person at the folk festival, and it's like when you guys came out on stage, there was almost gasps from the audience, and that's the point of doing that kind of thing. Did you guys make them yourselves?
Oh God, no.
Oh, but you designed them.
This one, we were very lucky. Do you want to go ahead and, since you've dealt with him more?
I've dealt with him more.
What's your name?
Well, my name is Laura Velázquez. I do play violin.
Hi, Laura.
Hi. I can't remember how to say the word sastre in English.
Taylor? No.
Taylor? I don't know.
Seamstress.
Seamstress, yeah.
Oh, seamstress.
You're on a
Thank
roll.
you.
I only know English, but I know.
You only speak one language. He's based in Pilsen. He was the one that was able to bring Jeanette's design to life. He was very, very cooperative with us.
Well,
sorry.
No, you're fine. That was perfect. And I say we got lucky because this is something that usually you can't find, especially here in Chicago, because the mariachi community is not at all, you know, not alone even when it's in Mexico, but when it is out in the West. So if we wanted to get anything really done, we would have to, and not cross the border, we would have, you know, had to find someone in California to be able to do this. So to be able to make this traje here in our backyard and see it as it's coming alive, it was beautiful. I can't even explain it, because like I've had trajes where we get our measurements done and then we don't see it for 6, 7, 8, 9 months until it's actually here. So to be able to be there for every step of the stitching and the design of it, and him not pushing back on what our idea was, because again, it's not really too traditional. And he's like, all right, I will try to do what I can on bringing your idea to life. And we can't thank him enough. He's Julio over there in Pilsen. The shop is called Izguerra. So if you guys want to go check him out, he has some awesome, authentic Mexican stuff over there. So yeah, absolutely.
Tell me his name again.
His name is Julio, and the name of the store is Escaramuzas.
Escaramuzas.
Yeah.
How do you spell?
It's
Escaramuza USA?
yeah, that one.
I'm gonna drop a link to his Facebook page here on Zoom, just so people could go check him out. That couldn't have been cheap.
You're absolutely correct. It was not. It was definitely. I mean, I'm not embarrassed to say it. It's what it costs. It's not
Yeah.
the whole ensemble was almost $800 for each one of us.
Yeah.
And that was that we had to pull back a lot on the design that we wanted just because we didn't want the price to go too crazy for our very first suit. But so yeah, and that was obviously, here, and he was the only one working on it. He had to get fabric and the buttons and everything imported from Mexico. So, I mean, we didn't complain about the price. We absolutely couldn't. That's his job. That's like if people tell us as musicians, like, hey, you not charge that much, it's like, well, so we respect everybody's craft. So that and like I said, we're just super thankful to him for being able to bring our idea to life.
Yeah, $800 sounds cheap to me, honestly, for what those look like, and like you said, importing the materials and stuff. So that's really cool that you found somebody who knew what they were doing to actually make those outfits.
No, yeah, it was fun, and actually we've been with that traje for 2 years now, 2.5 years. So I mean, it's lasted, and I mean we've worn those puppies down a lot. So we're looking to make another one really soon. So we'll see what comes out of our head this time.
Cool. Well, let me know when you do, and I'll share them on our social media for sure. So I want to hear another song, but before I do, tell me, like, in bluegrass music, we have what we call them fiddles, but we have violins. And I'm curious with you three violin players, like, what can you tell me stylistically about playing mariachi violin?
You guys want it?
It's dirty.
Yeah, it is.
It's very it's harsh. It's definitely harsher than like if you were to play classical or anything, which is very similar to like that bluegrass style, and fiddling and stuff like that. It's just you feel it. You got to feel it more than just reading notes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more of that and the dynamics of it, and
but I feel like more like show mariachis, like they're more like classical kind of feel too. So yeah.
Well, yeah, because there's like a show mariachi where it's a lot more professional, where all they do is really just play on stages and stuff like that. So that is very more put together, even playing with symphony orchestras. So, everything has to stay to the music and stay like that. But I mean, traditionally it's very arithmetic, I guess you can say. You really got to base yourself on your armonia out back there and whatever feel they're giving you, whatever tempo they're giving. They're the ones calling the shots. As much as we like to believe we're leading, we're not. So that's pretty much it. I mean, that's for pretty much most of the genres, I guess, that we play, except for like the really slow songs that are a little bit more romantic, and you gotta be softer and sweeter with it.
Well, there were the last tune you played. There was some dynamics. Relampago. There were some dynamics. You guys brought it down towards the end.
Thank you. We tried.
Yeah.
That fun stuff that we, to give it some attitude, to give it some color and some texture to it. So yeah.
So where did you three learn to play violin?
It was around, oh God, what year was that? 2006? No, 2007? Wow, I can't remember. Thank you, Jeanette. I think it was around 2007. Then I started violin in a church in East Chicago, Indiana, specifically for mariachi. I kind of picked it up, then I kind of put it down and tried learning a different instrument. I'm not that fluent. It's just more hearing that I kind of learned more. I don't know that much theory, unfortunately, but I'm slowly getting there.
Yeah, I don't know any theory, just so you know. So you're in good company.
She's amazing. She's absolutely amazing. She actually also knows how to play that vihuela instrument, which we will get into in a little bit.
I want to hear about that too.
Yeah, so is she ready to? So yeah, but she's awesome. She's absolutely a monster at the violin and the vihuelas. And I picked up the violin for the first time in third grade when it gets introduced to you at school for orchestra. And then I tried to put it down and it wouldn't happen. And then same thing, my mom actually drove, okay, so Laura and Jeanette and Itzel over there.
This one, that one.
All four of us here were actually related. Yeah, so myself and the little one back there were sisters, and then the rest of us were cousins. So my mom, except for the little one back there, drove us all out to East Chicago, Indiana, to learn from someone that was actually coming straight from Guadalajara, Jalisco, to teach us how to play mariachi genre music. So that's how that started. We didn't start because we necessarily wanted to per se, or because it was like usually mariachi music gets passed down by family members. It's one of those, just like folk music. You learn from your parents. You learn from your parents. So we're all first generation musicians except for Liz back there. And so yeah, it was one of those where it's like, I think my mom was like, I think you guys would do good in this, and I want you guys to do this. And we had no say in it. We were young, and here we are. To this day, we got to thank that woman for driving us to these lessons and you know, letting us, one of our dreams come true, to be the first all women mariachi here in Chicago.
That's awesome.
So my name is Monica Guerrero. I play violin. I'm actually not from Chicago. I'm from Highland, Indiana. I started violin, I want to say, I think it was like 2007-ish. I didn't feel like counting all the way back. Anyway, I started like how Ibet in orchestra, like in elementary school. So I did orchestra from like 5th, 6th grade all the way until, that's actually how I picked my college, was because they had an orchestra at UIC. So I joined the orchestra there, and then that's where I met one of our other members who's not
In
here.
Mexico.
Yeah, she's in Mexico.
If you're
right
watching,
now.
Edith, we love you.
We love you, Edith. So yeah, she's actually learning a lot over there. Can't wait to see what she's learned when she comes back. So I met her in orchestra, and then she wanted to start a mariachi club at UIC. So I was like, yeah, sure, why not? And then I joined. I was like, actually, I like this a lot more than orchestra. So I eventually quit orchestra, and then mariachi became a class over there. So then from that class and everything, that's how I started with mariachi, and then I met these lovely ladies, and yeah.
Cool. There's a couple of messages from people here. Erendira Izguerra says hello from Guadalajara.
That's
That's her. That's our other member.
That's cool. And then someone else, Jacob Houlihan, currently sitting on a rooftop in Playa del Carmen, enjoying the tunes, ladies. Gracias.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you.
So play me another song, and then I thank you for telling me about your individual stories. I really want to hear those. So play another song, and then I want to get the back row. So
The back row is where the fun is.
I know, that's what it looks like.
Yep. All right. You guys ready to lose a couple eyes?
salerosa y decirte, niña hermosa, que eres mía. Una hechicera, que eres linda y hechicera, como el canto de una rosa, como el canto de una rosa. Sí, señor.
Wow. I have a couple of first. What's that song about? It was beautiful.
Hi, so my name is Lisette Lumbre. I am the guitarist here with Mariachisirenas. So yeah, that song, it's very, very beautiful, but I I really don't pay attention to the lyrics. Every time I sing, I really pay attention to, like, you know, the melody and the harmonies, but for what I remember, it's basically about a man or a woman, you know, but here it's referring of a man, like explaining like how beautiful this person is. Malagueña salerosa.
Isn't this kind of like a type of dance?
Like, well, Jeanette's saying that's like a type of dance.
Is it right?
It's a love song. It's like describing how beautiful this woman is to this man, and that style, that the armonía over there we're playing is called a wapango, which is that up down stretchy rhythm.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask next. Was what in God's name rhythm was that? I was trying to tap along with it, and it's not anything I've ever really experienced before.
Isn't it fun?
Yeah, it's so cool.
Isn't it? Like, it makes you kind of, yeah, it's called a wapango.
Can you demonstrate that on the guitar just a little bit by itself?
Let her adjust.
Yeah, that's so fascinating. And you guys were all lockstep in with it. It was super cool.
Thank you.
So tell me, like, how remind me the guitar player's name again. Remind me your name one more time.
So my name is Lisette Lumbre.
Help me with that.
Lisette. And then my last name is Lumbre.
Luce, cool.
My
So
name is Lisette, but you go call me Liz.
Liz, okay. Gracias. What kind of, can you tell me about your guitar technique a little bit? Like, are you using a pick?
Yeah, currently I am using a pick. Well, I first learned without the pick, because I would just pluck with my fingers, but I realized with mariachi music I can't do that, so I have to use a pick to, you know, for the sound could be louder and be transmitted to the audience. I have nobody else to hear, but yes, I am using a pick.
Okay, and do you use a capo sometimes too?
No, we don't use capo. We actually just transpose, for example, like if it's obviously we singing woman key, but if like another person comes in, if it's a male, obviously we have to transpose in our heads, and yeah, obviously it would be easier with a capo. I personally would prefer a capo, but we don't use capo, so we do the math here.
If the violins can't cheat, the guitar can.
I can't wait to tell I'm sure they're all watching, but I'm sure our mandolin player, who you can't use a capo on mandolin, it's like super not cool. And so I'm sure he's watching this and loving. So you made it a rule, like no capos.
No, none whatsoever. No. We're all struggling. We're going to do this together.
I mean, ultimately it'll make you a better musician.
They say. So they say. And it's actually funny that Liz mentioned that, because most of the songs that are written are in male keys. So, like, especially those big traditional ones. So we having learned them in these male keys when we all first started in our own individual mariachi groups, and then having to come in together and then relearn the songs and then finding the keys specifically, because there's not really an exact science to, okay, if the male key's in C, then by mathematics, the woman key is in, and it doesn't work that way. We all have just different textures to our voices.
Right.
Finding that key for each individual singer and then having to transpose it. And then the fun is when we're out, in public, and this is more for like those private parties, when people, they're feeling it and they want to sing and we're all for it. And then we want to help them, sing in the key that they're in. And we're not going to force them to do the key that we are. That's rude. So we try to transpose it to their key so that, on the spot, in our heads, try to do it. And try to make it like, yeah, we know what we're doing. Yeah, so it's fun.
I bet that creates some interesting moments on stage sometimes.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for sharing the guitar with us. That rhythm, I'm going to have to study that more. I've never quite seen anything like that before. And your voice is stunning. That was a beautiful piece.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, of course. Now, what's the instrument in the middle in the back there?
That instrument. And do you want to talk? She doesn't want to talk. So a little fun fact, Itzel here, her name's Izguerra Herrera. She's actually my little sister. Contrary to belief, she is like 5 feet taller than I am, but we're not gonna let that affect here. She just joined our group not too long ago. So she's the youngest member. She is a whopping 13 years old.
For real.
She's
What?
for real 13. Yeah. So she's still shy. So I'll kind of try to talk about the instrument that she plays. Itzel actually started on the guitar when she first picked up mariachi style, but she really wanted to move over to the vihuela, so she made that change 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago. So the instrument is called vihuela. La vihuela. Can you flip it, Moni?
La vihuela?
Vihuela, yeah. Can you flip it? It has a tummy. Do you see that? Flip it to your side.
Oh, cool.
It has a little tummy. So a lot of people confuse it for like a ukulele. It's a higher pitch to get to. You know what? Why am I talking? You play this instrument.
Well, to go off of that, it is a higher pitched guitar in a sense. It's the same. It has the same strings except for the low E. So instead of starting on the low E, we're missing that string on the vihuela. It actually starts on an A.
It's a 5.
Yeah, it's a 5-string instrument.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. I could almost see that it was missing one of the pegs on one side of the.
Definitely.
So it's.
Oh, that's beautiful.
She's gorgeous. Yeah. So it has a nice little tummy to it. So.
And where do you get? Is that from here? No.
One might be lucky to get it from here. But most it's just easier to, not easier actually, I can't say that. It would be best just to get it straight from Mexico. There's obviously very different I forget how to say lauderos, luthiers.
Yeah, you got it.
There you go, thank you. There's many different ones, but Mexico would be your best bet to go and find one, even if it's on the cheaper side, if you're barely learning, or if you want to go all out and get something really extravagant.
What's the cheaper side?
The cheapest? Well, I don't. Ooh.
Like 100?
No, like 200-ish.
150. I think that would be the cheapest.
And what would is that a professional grade vihuela?
I don't know where you guys got that.
No, that one.
No, it's more of a kind of like intermediate kind. It definitely has some damage to it. What brand is it? Because it, just like every instrument, it has its own like the makers who makes the best ones and stuff like that.
Yeah.
This one, personally,
It's a
it's a Lemos. See, I didn't even know that. It's not my instrument. She actually got that one for $200. So it was it was a great buy. It sounds nice and loud, and the nice thing about that instrument too is the strings are all plastic, but you can change the tension of it. So as like she, for example, she's starting with a lower tension. They're a lot thinner. But Laura over here, who is a rock star on it, she goes a little bit more thicker string. So yeah.
So okay, I was gonna ask. She's using, are they nylon strings? And is it the same for guitar too?
Yes. It's the same.
Okay. Okay, cool. And what's the black piece of something that you keep taking off before you? Yeah, what is that?
Oh, that's actually the guitar strap or the vihuela strap. It's just a strap.
What? How does that work?
I can still, oh yeah, because they normally put it on the side. So,
Oh,
so they hook it into the little hole. And that's how it's not, since we since we don't plug in or anything, and it doesn't have the thing on the side how normal guitars do where you can screw it on the side. So they just stick it into a little hole and hope for the best.
that's really cool. It's almost like a saxophone hook or something.
Yeah. Except you have to rely on that. So if you flip it over, then you better hope that you're holding on.
Yeah, right. I would be a disaster with that.
She's 13, so I'm like, oh gosh, please.
So what's the technique on? Is it different than guitar?
They do the exact same.
Yeah.
Not all the time, but most of the time.
Yeah.
So the thing about the vihuela, it's more on the creative side. So if anything, you'll probably see the guitar playing what is the basis of the rhythm. And then there would be some instances where the vihuela would kind of venture off, but just giving it more of a different color highlighting, different rhythms and different given obviously still within the time signature. We can't go all too crazy.
Ideally.
Ideally. Yeah, the vihuela is more for those people that are a little more, that have more agility to their hand, more flexibility and stuff like that.
Could you put the mic in front of it and just play it a little bit by itself?
So they can hear. Just keep it.
So you hear that higher pitch on the guitar.
It's a cool tone.
Yeah.
And you don't sound like you're 13, just so you know.
See?
That's some good technique.
She's trying. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Figured
All right.
She had to bring her along.
So always last.
Bless, but we can't play without her.
Oh.
Yeah, I know, and like it's the same thing for our band. Like I like to give our bass player a lot of guff because it's the biggest instrument. It takes up the most room. All that stuff. But really, you can't live without them. So can I please introduce yourself and tell us about that beautiful instrument?
Take it away, Rockstar.
Sure. So my name is Jeanette Nevarez, and this is called a guitarrón.
Guitarrón.
Mexican bass. Especially it's Mexican. Always fine. And it actually, like the vihuela, it has the hunched back or like the belly, so that one makes like a deep sound. This is 6 strings, both at the end. On either end is A, and you play in octaves.
And the pegs on that thing are huge.
Yes, they are. And they're hard to tune. Well,
Yeah.
specific one.
And so do you play with your fingers?
Yeah. So I use my thumb, my index, and my middle finger to pluck.
You want to come to the camera, maybe?
Yeah, bring it a little closer, please.
Bring that bad boy over here. Oh, she's a girl. Sorry. Yeah. Go ahead. Just cover us all.
Wow.
Take it over.
I'll get up. So these two are A's. Loy High DGCEA.
And why would there be two A's?
Because since I play in octaves, I'm not sure why there would be actually just two A's, but I would play them open if I don't. But then the guitarron has two metal strings and two nylon, which is the high ones are the three. Did I say two?
You said two.
Oh, sorry, 3 and 3. 3 and 3. I don't know.
Can you play a little bit?
Yeah. So I like playing cumbias.
And that entire time she's playing octaves.
Yeah, octave.
One might think that helps with the volume, maybe, to play octaves.
I
Maybe.
think it's just more to give it a variety.
Yeah, it gives it that nice little variety of, you know, that fullness of just a regular playing that one string. But I mean, as we are learning to kind of make some songs more of our own, you know, for her to have a little bit more fun and versatility in the bass and not just play octaves, sometimes she'll just play like the one and it just adds some nice color to it. You can sit
I know.
down.
I'm like, why should
Please feel at home.
Welcome.
And the guitarron were especially made for mariachi. So right now, there are more players, musicians that use it for like other types of genres, but they were made for mariachi.
Yeah, it is it's definitely, as an American, it's the first instrument you really notice on stage. Like, holy crap, that thing's huge, you know? And it just has this presence that's like, I don't know, I think it's really powerful. So it's a cool instrument.
Every time I Google guitarron, you know, I see like a fat man with like a big hand, and I was like, I took like the stereotype.
That's cool.
We give her a hard time all the time because, you know, that's what you do to your bass players. Just kidding. But no, like, hands down, like, for her to pick up this instrument, how long did it take you to learn it? Because she was actually a trumpet player before she learned the guitarron. So how long did it take you to learn it?
3 or 4 months. The basics, and then, you know, like,
Yeah.
Right.
And then it never ends. So.
It was one of those that in the mariachi that we were in at the time, we needed a guitarron player bad because without it, we can't play. It's the bass, literally. Or if we would, it wouldn't be mariachi at that point, you know. So without the guitarron and the vihuela, we can't. So if she's out, we're all out. So no pressure on her, and she's been a rock star since day one, and couldn't have anyone more reliable on this beautiful instrument.
Yeah, I know we had to reschedule a few weeks ago, but you all seem to really be on point. And like when you approached me about rescheduling, I could feel how much it hurt you to do that, and I have a lot of respect for that. I mean, I know how that is. It's like all we have is our ability to show up on time, because there are a million other bands out there, and you gotta be professional. And like, you were like, I've never had to do this before. It kills me to have to reschedule. And just the fact that you extended that, I felt it through the email, ironically. And you all just present yourself so professionally, but you also seem to be having such a wonderful time doing it, and your friends and family, obviously. And I don't know, I just wanted to point out that I've noticed those things about you guys already. So very, very cool. Thanks for showing us the guitarron. I'll get these eventually.
No, thank you for and yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that about, you know, that as a group or as a music group, all we really have is show up on time and do your thing. And that's definitely a stereotype that we wanted to break in the mariachi genre, because believe it or not, mariachis are known for arriving late, very late, and drunk. So you know, that wasn't going to fly on our end. So, and we wanted to make sure that we approach this from a very professional standpoint. And you know, at the end of the day, the client's playing, and we have to respect time. And you would think that's common sense, but sometimes it's not. So we definitely wanted to break that stereotype when it came to like the mariachi genre. To, you know, I make sure like, hey guys, we need to be there minimum half an hour before every gig at least. And that's, we don't even plug in. We're all acoustic. So we just sit in our cars and wait for the time to do its thing. You know, that's all we can do. So thank you.
Yeah. I would rather be an hour early than 1 minute late.
Are we hearing this, ladies?
Don't use me as an example.
Oh,
I don't want to cause any fights here. Can you guys play me a slower song?
You've read our mind. That's crazy. Yeah. We'll do it. A little bit.
Is it slow enough?
It's slow enough. So, do you want to hear about it before or after?
Please.
Okay, so is that in your way? Okay, so the next song we're going to do is it's a very traditional song. One might even say like a staple to the mariachi genre. It was made very famous by Vicente Fernandez. I don't know if you've heard of him, but he's one of the very iconic singers in the mariachi genre for this, and the song is called Volver, Volver. It translates to return, return. It's a heartbreak song, and the person singing it is like trying to get their loved one to come back to them, but trying to be very humble about it at the same time. So we'll see if we can get the message across.
Christina Esparza says, such a jam.
Yeah. So if anyone is out there in their fields, this is it. Join in.
Awesome.
Ay, ay, ay. Este amor apasionado anda todo alborotado por volver. Voy camino a la locura y aunque todo me tortura, sé querer. Nos dejamos hace tiempo, pero me llegó el momento de perder. Tú tenías mucha razón, le hago caso al corazón y me muero por volver. Y volver, volver.
Wow. Your vocal harmonies, it almost sounds like your vibrato is lined up with each other. It,
We
you,
try.
you don't practice that. I mean, that almost seems physically impossible. It just
I think it's just it's hard sometimes to find someone to get that harmony where the vibratos do, and then because I've been told that my vibrato is very pungent, if you will. It's very
dirty.
and I've tried to control it. Sometimes I don't want to, sometimes I can. So the fact that Liz is able to keep up with that one is beyond me.
It sounds so good. Is there ever more than two-part harmonies in mariachi?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yes, especially in the bolero side, which is very bit more romantic side. So you could get that 3 or 4 part harmony in there. So that's fun dealing with those harmonies and trying to perfect them for them to sound, nice and clean.
Especially because we all have such different timbres in our voices.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
And it's a positive and a negative. It's one of those where it's like, I have that deeper voice. As compared to Liz, it has that nice high princessy voice. So and it's beautiful. I'm so jealous of it.
Yeah.
So I try to find that marriage in between, and then having to add that third harmony, either even lower than my voice, which Jeanette usually fills over there, or try to go even higher, higher than Liz, or if we can find that nice harmony right in between, that's sometimes a really sweet spot. But it's definitely nice, work in progress, and that's usually what we try to do at rehearsals to really, because it's the nice thing about mariachi, it's about the instrumentation, which is beautiful, but a lot of people focus on the voice, on the vocals. So to try to perfect the vocals and the instrumentation is, whatever, no big deal.
Yeah, you got to put a lot of time into both of them, and if you let one of them slack, people pick up on it.
No.
So it's funny in bluegrass we tend to build around the melody, like the lead singer singing the melody. We usually have someone singing above them and singing below them, and it's very seldom that it's like 2 on top of the melody or 2 below. It's kind of, we're always surrounding it. Would you say that's the case with you guys, or does it mix up a lot?
It mixes up, but most of the time it's usually that nice sandwich between the main voice, depending on the song. But sometimes it is where it is a 2 on top, and it could be because we have all female vocals where we're able to do that. But because there's only such a low register that we can reach. So sometimes we have to switch it up a little bit. I mean, there's even times where, if I'm the main vocal, but we need that lower voice, we'll switch someone else to be that main vocal for that chorus, and I'll drop down to the low one, and someone will take that main melody, just to be able to fill it. So it really is based on song and based on what we're trying to make it hear. I mean, sound, not hear. And whoever sings the song adds a different texture to the song altogether. So then basing it off of that one main vocalist is and making that main vocalist shine is kind of what we try to do.
Yeah, that's cool. We're running out of time here. I wanted you guys to talk about the challenges that come from being an all-women band in a very male-dominated music scene, which I'm also part of too. And there's been a move in the past 10 years, I'd say, to make some effort to be more welcoming to women in our genre. And it's a big uphill battle. And I think it'd be interesting to hear maybe an example or two of the things that you guys have to deal with in that realm. Because I think people like myself need to be reminded of that and hear about that stuff.
No one else? Okay, I'll start it. Well, I think sometimes it just needs to be a reminder that just because we wear skirts doesn't mean that we don't
at least try to put in the same amount of effort as someone that wears pants. So and you know what? I will say this, being with Mariachi Sirenas, I don't know if it's because we travel in flocks that we've been really lucky enough that and I hope it translates that we are really close with one another. So we have that nice sister bond where we are very protective of one another. So it's when we first started the group, we were really worried that we would get the same type of, I guess, attention that we did when we were in our own individual mariachi groups that were co-ed. Being all women, it is dangerous. All of our moms were like, "Oh my God, no, we have to stop." But being as a group together, I think seeing that bond that we have and how well we look over each other, we haven't had too many instances where we are afraid for our safety. There has been a couple, and and it's kind of sad that we to have to think like, man, do we have to bring a guy security guard just to like be able to play? And it's something that sometimes we have to do. Sometimes we're like, no, we got this, we're women, but being realistic, at the end of the day, safety is safety. We get told all the time that, or we have that, it's just standing there and looking pretty, or just stand there and dance and smile. Don't worry about, personally, I've been told, don't worry about the music, don't worry about that. Just stand there and dance and look pretty. And, or, they would have you stand at the end. And if I would say, hey, they're bothering me, they wouldn't do anything about it. And until it actually became a thing, or until I actually had to speak up. I was in the mariachi world since the age of like 14, 15. So it was interesting seeing that. And again, being like first generation Mexican, you're brought up with, you don't talk back to adults, you do as the adult says, especially if they're a man, you don't dare talk back to them. They know what's best for you. So having to challenge that was very interesting, not only personally, but in the musical world. And then as Mariachi Sirenas became a thing, it was more of like, oh, well, they're only getting popular because they're all girls. Okay, cool, thanks. And little stuff like that. It's like sometimes like they think it's not like a comment that would, and we honestly kind of laugh at it at this point. It's why let it affect us? But yeah, that's basically the biggest one where, well, they're where they're at because they're girls, or they're where they're at because they wear makeup, or this and that, or that women have to look a certain way to be able to play music is something that we get all the time. That you have to look the part, you have to look pretty, you have to be skinny, you have to make the traje look good. And that's a joke. That's so sad. Yeah. That it's still based on appearance, and that's something that in Mexico they're really struggling with to this day, where there's very talented women out there that aren't that supermodel figure, and they can't play because how are they going to look on stage? That's so sad that's still a conversation that we're having to this day.
Yeah. Tonka Matuska says salud from Guatemala. Do you know who that is?
No, we don't, but we'd love to visit Guatemala really soon.
Yeah. Have you guys performed in Mexico?
Not professionally, just because we were there and we played. We actually had the privilege to travel down to Guadalajara last year in the summer, and for the International Mariachi Convention is a thing. I know, it's awesome.
Oh, that's cool. We got an International Bluegrass Association, and people laugh at that all the time.
The music is being played over like all over the world. It's so cool to see that. So yeah, we were over there. We were just there and we played, but officially not yet. We are a baby group, and we really are only 3 years old.
Right.
So we can only hope it goes up from here.
It will. I mean, I think you guys are, like I said earlier, on point with the branding and all that stuff. Like, and obviously the music is amazing, but it takes all those pieces to work together. And after seeing you guys at the folk festival, I was just like, oh my god, like these guys are killing it and doing amazing things. Can you guys tell me if I wanted to? Obviously, live music is a challenge right now, and if it wasn't, where would I go to catch authentic mariachi music in Chicago if you guys weren't playing a show?
Mexican restaurants is your go-to place. If you're specifically like in the Chicago area, Mi Tierra in Little Village is specifically known for their live mariachi music.
Wait, tell me again, what's the name of it?
Mi Tierra restaurant.
Mi Tierra. Okay, cool.
In 26-ish. Over there, they are known for that, for their live mariachi music all the time. And it's more like that higher end, I guess you could say, Mexican restaurant cuisine. So yeah, that Mexican restaurants, unless you're, I don't even know how bars are really doing nowadays, but some Mexican bars, like towards midnight, that's where you get that nice, emotional mariachi that just coming in to
Yeah.
or you hire them for your own private event.
Yeah, there you go. Nice. And your what's your email again?
Absolutely. Email is info@mariachisirenas.com.
Have you guys? We talked about this a little bit. Have you guys played some socially distanced gigs?
We have. And kind of like we were mentioning before, taking gigs nowadays is, you really got to think about it. You really got to think what kind of environment you're going into. So I try to do my due diligence and try to get as much information I can over the phone before even committing to anything. But and like we were saying, since we're all acoustic, it's pretty, and then we all hold each other very accountable for our health and making sure, because we all go back to families at the end of the day. We're able to play with each other and stuff like that while having people very, very far away. And then we actually incorporated having a mic and a speaker just so the voice could at least travel longer distances. Normally we wouldn't do that necessarily, but with these circumstances, far away as possible, we'll get the voice travel to you. Mm-hmm. And obviously the instrumentation. So yeah, it's been interesting. We honestly thought that we weren't going to get back out there at all this year, but we've been very fortunate enough to try to get creative with the safety of it all and just getting back to what we love to do.
Yeah, good on you for being really conscious about the kind of gigs you're booking and stuff. I mean, I know, we both know, all of us know how hard it is to have offers coming in. And having to say no for ones that just don't feel safe is just it's the most opposite of, what? Like, that's not how we operate. We take gigs and we make a living, so.
And then it gets down to the point where it's like, man, well, we got all to make money at the same time, but then it's like, you really got to outweigh your odds here. And, I think we all came to the consensus that it's definitely more important to make sure that we're safe, and then the people that are hiring us are safe. So we want to just do that due diligence all around.
Yeah, when ultimately it's come down a couple of times in my head where I've literally thought, well, how much would it be okay? How much would I need to get paid to be okay with getting COVID? And it's, wait, there's no amount of money.
Was it worth it?
Right, totally. All right, I have one last question. When you guys do that incredible thing with your voices where it's kind of shouting, and I'm not even quite sure what it is, what is that called?
It's called a grito.
Grito.
Grito, which translates to yell.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Thank you. I drove my mom crazy when I was practicing how to do that. That took some practicing on my end. It's almost like a yodel-ish type. I wish I could yodel. I try to, but it's not happening. But it's trying to get that thing. You kind of got to go in like if you're gonna like a rooster call kind of thing, and then you kind of just gotta elegantly bring it back.
Yeah.
It's an emotion that just, has no words to it. So you just got to yell it out.
Yeah, and like it sounded like the ladies in the back were doing it too a little bit in response, or
Yeah, it's how we hype each other up.
yeah.
Yeah, it's how we, and instead of saying, "Hey, good job," we yell at each other. So it's how we hype each other up, and playing together, and especially when we're on stage, it's just vibing off of the people out in front, and then vibing out from the your group it's awesome. So it's cool, and each kind of like genre of mariachi kind of has its own little like hype noises, I guess you can say. Like for the wapango that Liz was doing, it's like
it's more like feeling the song.
Yeah.
Whenever you like the musician does it, or like even the audience like join in, that's because they're feeling it. They're like they love it.
They got
Oh, yeah.
for your cumbias is more like that. Your corridos is it's crazy. I could do a whole segment on this. This is my home.
Give me a couple of examples. They're awesome.
Oh, here we go. So the one that I was doing when we were doing the ranchera is the traditional grito, which is the and then depending on how I'm feeling it, how I'm feeling the voice or the air, I could go and I could do that forever.
They have short ones too.
Yeah, there you go. That's a short one.
Yeah.
It's fun.
It sounds like it comes from
Directly.
down here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you're holding the mic over here, and it's the loudest thing I've heard all day.
Yeah, I get in trouble for doing that in some mic.
That's awesome. I can't wait to see you guys live again, just with all the nuggets of information you've given me. Can you guys take us out with one last song?
Absolutely. Do we have time for like a 5-ish minute song, or that's
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, so we're gonna close out what we usually close out for when we kind of first started doing like festivals and stuff like that. This is a potpourri, so a potpourri of 3 songs into one, and it was made famous by Beatriz Adriana, who is one of the most iconic women mariachi singers in our generation. So here you go.
Cool.
In our generation, Jeanette.
He venido de tierra
canción. Yo quiero botarle un coro pa' que me mire, mi amor. Yupa, yupa, yo quiero botarle un coro pa' que me mire, mi amor. Yupa, yupa, yo quiero botarle un coro pa' que me mire, mi amor. Ay, ay, ay.
Hey, that was amazing. Guys, if everybody tuning in, if you want to learn more about Mariachi Sirenas, you can find them on Facebook, you can find them on Instagram, and you can email them at info@mariachisirenas.com. I can't wait to connect with you guys outside of this at some point. I suspect we will be doing more together in the future. It really means a lot to me that you guys took a Thursday evening to make this happen. You guys are amazing, and you just made my month. So I can't wait to see you guys again. Let's hope we all come out of this as better musicians and with more gigs.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for reaching out. Thank you for thinking of a mariachi for your show. We are completely honored. It was an awesome experience. We could do this all night. Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, it's your fault that I called you because I saw you guys at the folk festival. So. Hopefully we'll see you guys soon, and have a wonderful week. Thank you so much, you guys.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful night. Bye, guys.